For the first time in more than a decade, Netflix lost subscribers.
Streaming giant Netflix suffered its biggest stock loss in nearly 2 decades, losing more than $50 billion in market value.
And experts say the company may need to change how it plays the game.
Netflix is in trouble. The streaming giant that in 2007 kickstarted the movement from watching TV and film on physical media to streaming it online has lost subscribers for the first time since its launch. Over the past week, I've seen several videos addressing this fall from grace and what it means for the company overall. But what about its competitors and streaming platforms in general? Stock prices for the streaming giant's competitors, Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, Paramount, and Roku, all dropped between 5 and 8% alongside Netflix's 35% loss in value. The question is not if, but how long will it take for Netflix to go bankrupt? And with the giant felled, what does the future of streaming look like? Let me start with the most obvious point, the inevitable death of traditional cable TV. The antiquated practice of paying for a set of channels and watching shows live will not be sticking around for much longer. There's a lack of freedom, an abundance of ads, and an excess amount of content that is not tailored to the individual watching, which is a big problem for a society settling into a world of personalized recommendations and individual data-based experiences. In terms of technology, smart TVs will eventually be the norm for most consumers, and the classic TV set-top box will become a thing of the past. Similarly, most people already have smartphones and use them to watch media on, and this will likely increase in the coming years. This is important in terms of accessibility, as less developed parts of the world lack the infrastructure to support high-speed broadband. This issue will also be addressed with improvements in compression technology, allowing people to stream high-resolution videos without losing speed. The continuing spread of 5G will also allow more people access worldwide, with its improved bandwidth and responsiveness compared to 4G. Another important area of improvement will be an automatic captioning technology that will allow for better and more accurate subtitling and translations, and this will consequently increase the distribution speed of media throughout different countries. As we saw with Squid Game, whose subtitles were criticized for not conveying the right meaning, this technology is still in need of some work, but it is certainly much quicker than waiting for dubbed versions. But back to the question of who will be providing the content for consumers to watch on their new and improved devices. It's looking likely that the future will be dominated by the big 4 conglomerates. These are Disney, who acquired Marvel in 2009, 21st Century Fox in 2018, and currently holds 2/3 of streaming service Hulu, which they are set to own fully in 2024. Warner Bros. Discovery, the official name of the recently completed merging of Warner Media with Discovery Inc. This includes content from Warner Bros. Studios, HBO, Discovery, Looney Tunes Cartoon Network, and Hanna-Barbera. Paramount Global, which recently changed its name from Viacom CBS. As well as films made by Paramount Pictures, they own popular TV channels such as Showtime, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, Pluto TV, as well as region-specific assets like Channel 5 in the UK and Telefe in Argentina. Finally, NBC Universal, who operate a streaming service called Peacock, and own Universal Pictures, which includes DreamWorks Animation, Amblin, Focus Features, and Illumination, alongside TV channels Sci-Fi, Bravo, E, and Telemundo. These conglomerates are slowly reacquiring the exhibition rights for the films made by their film production companies in order to stream them exclusively on their own platforms. We've seen this happen already with the Marvel TV shows that were previously on Netflix migrating to Disney+. In many cases, the studios are just waiting for previous agreements to expire in order to free their assets, and this phase is projected to be largely completed by 2025. A big part of the conglomerates' power is that they control every part of the process of making a film or TV series, from production to distribution and exhibition, also known as vertical integration. They develop an idea, then put that idea into production, funded by themselves, then after completion they distribute and market it, and finally exhibit it on their own streaming services alongside theatrical release. Does this model sound familiar? Well, it's much the same as the OG Hollywood studio system, which you can hear more about in my History of Film video linked above or in the description below. Essentially, the golden years of Hollywood were dominated by 5 studios: MGM, Paramount, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and RKO. In the landmark antitrust case of 1948, these studios were ordered to separate the production and exhibition divisions because they were said to be violating the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, which prescribed the rule of free competition among those engaged in commerce. Basically, the same thing is happening now, with these companies seeing films through from start to finish, ending up on their streaming platforms. My prediction is that this will need to be addressed in much the same way as it was in the 1940s, otherwise the conglomerates will have full control over deciding what media we can consume, and the little guys will be left begging to be bought out by the big ones. And directors like Christopher Nolan will continue being enraged at the lack of proper theatrical releases. Admittedly, much of the move towards this new studio system has been accelerated by the pandemic. Suddenly, people were at home and needed entertainment fast. According to the Motion Picture Association, the number of streaming services rose by 32% in 2020. Streaming platforms provided an answer to a problem, but now that things are going back to normal, they are one of the things that people can easily cut back on, especially with the rise in energy prices. The war in Ukraine has also influenced these companies, many of whom have pulled their services from Russia, meaning a loss of 700,000 subscribers in the case of Netflix, for example. These socio-economic factors deeply affect the media industry, so a real picture of what the future looks like remains a little uncertain until the economy reaches some sort of stability. Whilst we wait for that to happen, let's go back to the little guys, specifically the smaller streaming platforms. Will they be able to thrive whilst the conglomerates hold power? Well, websites like Crunchyroll and Shudder have been successfully putting out niche content for years, the former with anime since 2006, and the latter with horror, thriller, and sci-fi content since 2015. Then there's platforms like Mubi, who introduce one new film every day on a rolling 30-day playlist, giving you 30 days to watch that film before it expires. They specialize in hand-picked cinema, from cult classics to modern masterpieces. It may sound pretentious, but die-hard film fanatics or those seeking refuge from mainstream cinema will find comfort in its curated content. But how much choice is too much choice? With so many different services, won't it get overwhelming for users to decide what to pay for and remember the accounts they have? In a survey of 6,000 consumers worldwide, 60% found the process of navigating among different streaming services a little too very frustrating, and 44% spent an average of more than 6 minutes trying to find something to watch. Amazon Prime Video offers a streamlined solution to this, giving its users the option to add and pay for channels directly through their account. This ability to consolidate all of your subscriptions into one is a very inviting prospect for consumers. It is certainly why services such as Roku and Plex are popular for bringing together multiple accounts into one manageable app, with a single watch list and metadata that works across your accounts. Roku charges an initial fee to buy its box, but is free after that. Plex is free from the start. You can integrate other services that you already pay for, like Netflix, inside the app, but they both have a lot of free channels you can watch, including some live TV channels. However, there are ads, and this is how they make their revenue primarily. This type of free ad-supported streaming television, or FAST for short, is a popular business model that has been used historically by many streaming platforms, which I have mentioned already. It is also used by Pluto TV from Paramount and Crackle from Sony, which you can go to right now and watch TV for free, including some on-demand shows. In fact, though the US is currently focused on the subscription-only model, the Asia-Pacific region, exemplified by China and India, primarily focuses on FAST. For example, nearly half of all smartphones in India have the app Hotstar installed, where you can watch content for free except for specialized things like live sports, where there is an added subscription fee. The biggest exception to the rule is Netflix, who is only now buckling under the pressure of its unsustainable business model and deciding FAST is necessary for survival. Speaking of Netflix, I have to address its inevitable demise. If it somehow manages to avoid bankruptcy following its accumulation of debt and staggering fall in stock prices, then it will need to transform completely from its current form. Netflix has become synonymous with quantity and not quality, and building mistrust with its users after repeatedly cancelling beloved TV shows. TV writer Joel Morris explains that Netflix is trapped by the tap model, i.e. it offers constant, limitless content with little curation and generates little hype for each release before rolling on to the next one, much like a constantly running tap. So when they raise the price of subscriptions after doubling down on shared accounts, then the idea of paying more for something that isn't offering you any more will turn away many subscribers. Unless Netflix start prioritizing cutting costs rather than raising prices and considering their audience before cancelling good shows and greenlighting bad ones, and potentially even investing in sports, then the future is looking pretty bleak for the streaming giant. You might ask, how can Netflix possibly topple considering it still leads with the number of subscribers worldwide despite its recent losses? Well, the ex-CEO of Warner Media, Jason Kilar, explains it perfectly in an interview with Vulture. He says, if you are Netflix and got started 10 years before everybody else, of course you're going to have a lot more subscribers today. That means an average show for Netflix is going to have a certain audience compared to, say, Peacock, which is just starting their journey. This makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Being a small YouTube channel ourselves, T-Break Film Reviews falls into a similar category as Peacock in Kilar's explanation, compared to other channels such as Let Me Explain, Chris Stuckman, and Watch Mojo, who all have 8, 11, and 15 years on the platform respectively. We've only been around for just 2 years. Having a head start does not mean you are immune to bad decisions. Interestingly, during Netflix's reign, it has been closely followed by Amazon Prime in subscribers. Of Prime's 200 million subscribers, about 175 million have streamed movies and TV shows, according to founder Jeff Bezos. The main difference is that Amazon functions first as an e-commerce company, and apparently 25 million of its Prime subscribers pay only for the shipping benefits. But a lot of those 170 million likely also started subscribing just for that, with Prime Video becoming a sort of extra perk. It's a much safer position to be in than Netflix, and is also true with smaller competitor Apple TV+, whose parent company is first and foremost a tech company. So, to summarize, here are the 5 main predictions about the future of streaming. Firstly, cord cutting will continue with a simultaneous uptake of better integrated smart technology in TVs and phones, widespread adoption of 5G, and better accessibility to content worldwide, both through compression and subtitling technology. Secondly, 4 main conglomerate companies will dominate the streaming market with their vertical integration, controlling their content from production to distribution and exhibition on their streaming platforms like Disney+, Hulu, Peacock, HBO Max, and Paramount+. Thirdly, the norm for these companies will be offering a fast option alongside paid subscription models with no ads on their streaming platforms. Fourthly, consumers will either cycle subscriptions to save money or for specific content released at different times on different platforms, or if they can afford to, they will subscribe to multiple platforms at once, potentially with a rise in specific channel-based add-ons. Finally, Netflix will have to completely re-evaluate and change their business model, some of which we already know about, such as the password sharing and household policing, as well as the introduction of a fast option. Or it will simply be too little too late, and Netflix will go bankrupt or be bought out and remodeled by its buyer. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to see more videos, and comment with your thoughts on the topic. What subscriptions do you currently have? For more film content, feel free to follow us on Twitter, Letterboxd, and TikTok. Links in the description. Otherwise, this has been T-Break Film Reviews. My name's Michelle, and I hope you have a great day.